Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of On the Bright Side. I'm your host, Caroline Susko, and I'm so glad you're joining me today, whether it's for the first time or you're coming back for more. I'm so excited and happy that you guys are here because one, do I have some news for you, and two, today's episode may be one of the most relatable episodes that I've made, so I'm glad you're here. Because honestly, at first, I could not figure out what this episode was going to be. So I went in my notebook, came up with some ideas, but none of them were speaking to me like ones usually do. So, I decided to tap into my own life for a second and really think about my life and what was going on in itself. And because I wanted to talk about something that could also help me right now if I were a listener. So I was thinking for a little bit, but you guys, not like, what should I do? No, I had the pen, I had the paper, I had the notebook, I had the headphones on. I was in the zone. I was at a full brainstorming sesh with paper, pencils, and I landed on this idea. It took like an hour, but I got there. So when I started On the Bright Side, I wanted to help people. I wanted to make a difference, and I wanted to allow people to feel more related to than alone. Because we all know what it's like to feel alone. We all know what it's like to feel left out or not have the confidence we want and please, or not have the self-love we want and please. And to get these messages across, it came with me being vulnerable. Because to get that message across, you have to be vulnerable. You have to share with the audience what you experienced so someone can relate. But for a lot of people, vulnerability becomes embarrassment, sharing something that not many people like to talk about. And I was thinking about my life and yada, yada, yada. And I was like, oh my gosh, I could talk about this embarrassing time, this embarrassing time, this embarrassing time. But after all the times I was thinking of, I was like, okay, what would be good for this? I decided that we need to talk about embarrassment itself today, because embarrassment surrounds us so much, and it can be in literally anything that we want and do if we let it be there. So today, we're going to talk about embarrassment and how it's not real if you don't make it real. Now, you guys may be thinking, Caroline, you sound absolutely crazy right now. What are you talking about? Let me get there, and I promise you by the end of this episode, we'll be thinking on the same wavelength. We'll be on the same page. But before we get started, before we do the grateful, here's little news. The news is that this is the last episode of season 2 of On the Bright Side. Crazy, but the bigger news is that On the Bright Side is getting a revamp for season 3. We are going all out, and I'm so excited to show you guys what we've been working on and what I've been working on to make this dream come to life and, revamp On the Bright Side and get it up there and get it out there. So I'm super excited for you guys to see that. And yeah, I can't speak about any more right now, and I really wish I could, but I am so excited for this surprise in store. And that is also my grateful for today, because On the Bright Side has made it to season 3, and I am so excited for what's to come. I got messages back that people were coming on, and my jaw dropped. I screamed up and down. So I am so excited to be able to bring this to you guys. The support is unmatched. It was New Year's. It's the clock strike midnight. Happy New Year 2024. This girl comes up to me and she's like, I love your podcast. And I literally wanted to cry. I was like, that is the best way that I could possibly have started my 2024. And it literally made my year. It made my day. It made me smile ear to ear. I was so happy over that. That is what I'm grateful for today. And I'm also super grateful because this weekend I'm going to see Eli Rallo's book tour in Boston. So actually, when you're listening to this, I'll have already seen the book tour. It's literally my idol. She is amazing. And if you guys haven't read her book, go read it. I didn't think I needed this, because I promise you, you'll go into that book thinking like, I didn't think I needed, the title is perfect, because you close that book and you're like, oh my goodness, wow. I didn't know I needed that. I didn't know I needed all these life lessons. It's quite literally, and I don't say this lightly, what girls should live by. So I'll have to give you guys more of an update on that. But all right, I could talk all day. I am so excited for that. But let's get into today's episode. And now today's episode is about embarrassment. How embarrassment is not real and is quite literally just a state of mind. Okay, so I feel like to start, we have to break apart the word first. So, embarrassing. It's when you feel self-conscious. It's when your face gets all red and you get all sweaty because you did something that you think people are going to laugh at, or you think was weird, or you're like, oh my gosh, this was not socially acceptable. What did I just do? Now, when I said that definition, what is everything I just said in that? It's you. Embarrassment is about you. You determine your embarrassment. It's a self-conscious thought. You can feel that embarrassment. I know when we have those embarrassing times, we can feel it in our cheeks. Our heart rate starts to go up and we're like, oh my gosh, what did I just do? But when you think about it, we're the only ones that create that. We are those only people that create that feeling for us. The only ones. It's all in our minds because as human beings, we think we have to go along with the social norm. And a lot of us think that if we don't go along with the social norm, then we feel like we need to be embarrassed because we did something wrong, quote unquote, something that doesn't look normal in society. And that's where it all comes from. That's where embarrassment stems from. Two people can be doing the exact same thing, and one person can feel really embarrassed, and one person can just act like nothing happened, and to them it feels like nothing happened. So example, two people could be making the exact same TikTok, and to me, it could feel like, oh my gosh, I am exposing myself so much. But then there's the other person who could put that exact same TikTok out there, a video about something crazy or funny or stupid that happened in their life. And they think it's so funny. They don't feel embarrassed. They think because, hello, all this stuff happens to everyone. It's just not normalized in the sense that it should be. Now, I am not saying I have as much self-confidence as that second person. That's my goal. I am getting there. But for real, if I took the childhood lock off my TikTok and just made a video about anything embarrassing, whatever I wanted that would make people laugh. One of the embarrassing stories that have happened to me almost every day, I would like to think I'd be coming for Pete Davidson's territory. I think I'd be hilarious, objectively. And if I thought I was hilarious that moment, if you think you're hilarious and doing what you're doing is funny and purposely funny and you'd have no shame in doing it, there's no embarrassment. Hence, embarrassment isn't real, which is all controlled by me and no one else. So, in a sense, embarrassment is a state of mind. If I was in that right mind, I'd say, not embarrassed. Don't need to be embarrassed. And even if we're feeling embarrassed or not, the best thing to do is laugh. And that's number one. Always laugh. Like, we're all doing crazy, silly, funny, stupid things. It's funny. It's objectively funny. If you were watching this on a show, you would laugh. So why aren't you laughing at yourself? It's a self-conscious feeling that you create. If we think back to like the most embarrassing thing we've done, because I know we all have that story, take a second and think back. You realize it's like not that deep. It's not that deep at all. And I bet you someone else has done it out there. Actually, I know someone else has done it out there. And if you know 1,000,001 people have done it, why do you think it's just weird that you did it? Brings you back to the mindset. Brings you back to the idea that it's all in my head. And what my head tells me is how I'm going to act. So if I just tell myself, this is not embarrassing, this is normal, you don't feel it. And it's simply because you're confident in yourself. Something embarrassing happens to us. We think that everyone saw it. We think that everyone's judging. We think that everyone is talking about us. Guys, in the nicest way possible, we live in a self-centered universe. Not many people are actually watching us. Not many people are watching us fall or thinking about it 10 minutes later. We are our biggest critic, and we ourselves are self-centered. We tend to look at what we do with so much more caution and care. Like, come on. You think when you fell 2 years ago, people are still thinking about that now? No, like you are the only one thinking about that. A good example is the gym. I was at the gym with my friend and I was like, I am not going into the big boy room to work out. Like, absolutely not. I do not want these men seeing me trying to lift like 3 pounds and shaking because of both it's heavy and because of my tremors. And time out, I'm already lost my page. When Jake Shane, I don't know if you guys saw it, but when Jake Shane was at Aloe and his legs were like shaking back and forth super quick and people were like, is that real or fake? Nope, I am with him. It is so real. So anyway, my friend gets me and I'm like, okay, let's go in there. So I walk in and I'm like, oh my God, look over there. Everyone is watching me. Everyone's watching me. And then I walk a little further and I'm like, oh my gosh, there's the guy from Hinge for 2 years ago. He is definitely going to watch me. He is looking at my every move, like literally look at him. And to be honest, he's probably going to take a picture of me right now and send it to all his friends. Probably. That's probably true. That's probably what's going to happen. Yep. Oh my gosh, I just got to go. And that's literally my thought process. And I was out of there in 2 minutes. And then you like talk it out loud and you're like, I sound like a crazy person. Because we think we're just self-centered as humans, that we think everyone is watching us, that everyone is watching our every move and making fun of it in their head like, oh my goodness. So if you feel embarrassed, literally say these thoughts out loud because you sound crazy. And if you sound crazy, it usually means that you're just overthinking and like this is nothing to worry about. Wait, I was gonna end the story here, but I got another funny story. My sister and I, when we get full at dinner, we unbutton our pants because, I mean, it just makes you feel better when you eat a lot. I know there's someone out there who does the exact same thing. Like, you're full, you're going to unbutton your pants and move on. Like, hello, how else are you supposed to get to dessert if you don't have room? Unzip the pants. But guys, like, I'm not just like doing this at restaurants. Like, I do it very discreetly. Like, the shirt goes over, no one knows. But I was at dinner the other night and I did not do it the most discreetly. And my mom was like, girls, what are you doing? And I was like, Mom, it's fine. Embarrassment is a state of mind. And really, no one's watching me. No one is watching me. So I'm going to do this. So instead of being like, oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing because everyone must have saw, I was like, well, someone else has got to do it here. I am definitely not the only one. And I didn't get embarrassed by it because it's like state of mind, state of life, state of mind, not embarrassed. But just say, I did feel embarrassed by that. Here's what we do. We're going to get our acting skills out. I know you have them in you, so get them out because we're not wearing shame. You are going to be that actor. You are going to be that actress, and you are going to pretend like this is just a part of your movie. Like this is just a part of your life and act unfazed. I was scrolling through TikTok and saw this idea, and it is brilliant. Just pretend you're an actor or an actress going to work, doing the embarrassing stunt, and then leaving, moving on to your same life. Think about it. They go to work, do all this embarrassing stuff, and then just pick up their bag and go home like it was a normal day. That's how we have to act. And that situation shows right there that, one person can be embarrassed and another won't, doing the exact same thing. It's a state of mind. If we are confident in the way we are and the way we act and what things we do, there's no embarrassment. It simply can't be there because we're not feeling it. But with everything comes time. If you are an actress and going to do this embarrassing scene in a movie, the first time you ever probably did that scene, an embarrassing scene for any movie, they're probably like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? Everyone's watching me. Everyone's going to think I'm crazy. But then the more they do it, the more the confidence goes up and they realize it's actually very normal. And then they start doing it more and more and more. And it just becomes so natural that they don't even think about being embarrassed because it's just so normal. And once we stop thinking like that, it's not real. It's not real because we control it. So get some exposure in your life. And when something embarrassing happens and when you do feel embarrassed, just learn from that and keep building up from that because soon enough, you're going to be so unfazed by embarrassment that at some point you'll literally just be like, everyone look at me, look what I just did. This is drop dead hilarious. So exposure matters. And the more that we expose ourselves to embarrassing quote unquote situations, the less embarrassing they feel and the less the feeling comes around. And when you really think about embarrassment, the embarrassment comes from people controlling you. It comes from what people think you should be doing. It comes from how people think you should be acting. If you're not in that space of what they think is normal, then you feel embarrassed. And you're letting these strangers and other people's opinions make you embarrassed, and you're valuing their opinion more so than yourself. You could be on cloud 9 with your outfit. Think about kindergartners who go to school in like princess costumes or whatever. And then someone says like, what are you wearing? And they're like, what? And then from them, they become embarrassed when in the beginning of the day, they were on top of the world with their outfit. They loved it so much. And we do this so much. That's just like a little example. We do this so much in our everyday life that we put other people's opinions so far above ours. And then that embarrassment starts to soak in for no reason. It's all within ourselves. And a big one when we tend to feel embarrassment is when it comes from what we think other people are thinking. This is so easy to do coming from someone who has a lot of anxiety. And, people will look at you the wrong way and you're like, oh my gosh, they hate me. They hate my outfit. This is so embarrassing. Or what I did, maybe they just looked at me for an extra second. It's so many what ifs that we're literally 95% of them are not true, but we choose to believe that 5% that, oh, that could have been embarrassment. So for that, I'm going to feel embarrassed. And then at that point, embarrassment holds us back. We don't want to do things anymore. We don't want to wear the same clothes anymore. We don't want to talk to the same people anymore because we jumped on this sense of embarrassment that very well may not have been true. That we're now afraid to experience that feeling again, and we hide and avoid those kinds of experiences. And, I do get it. The uncertainty of not knowing what other people may think can be difficult. Actually, it's so difficult for so many people to come with terms with it, and that's okay. We're just worried and we have to put our foot in. Because once we put our foot in and become more confident and find more worth in our self-esteem, it allows us to understand that embarrassment is nothing more than something we choose to feel. It's a reaction. It's not an emotion that has to be with us. We choose to have it. But sometimes we think it's easier to run away from that, so we save our reputation because embarrassment is truly just the fear of what people may think and people's thoughts, and we think it's easier to just risk our potential so other people don't have to think those thoughts, so we don't have to worry about what other people may think, so that we can save ourselves and save that embarrassment. But no matter what you do, people are going to have certain thoughts, and there's nothing we can do or control about that. But when you are worried, and when you do feel the fear to take the next step because of what other people may say or think, I need you to take that step. I need you to put one foot in front of the other and sit in that uncomfortableness until you realize it's not that bad and you stop running away from it. Because when you stop running away from it, less embarrassment comes. And soon enough, embarrassment becomes a mindset. And if people don't sense that you're embarrassed, how can they be embarrassed? People can't have secondhand embarrassment if there was no embarrassment to start it with. And even if you were embarrassed, would it matter to other people? Would it matter in your lifetime? Because I need you to ask yourself, or I need you to hear my voice in your head saying this. Is the fear of what other people may think more important? Is it? If you can achieve your dream life and the only thing that is in the way is embarrassment, would you choose to not obtain that dream life if you had to be embarrassed here and there? If, pretend I could see the future and could see that you 100% could achieve your dream career if you just had to be in an embarrassing situation a few times here or there or share a dozen embarrassing stories. And you would be successful. If you did this, you would 100% get there. Imagine if I told you that and you didn't do it. Can you imagine you got a card at the end of your life that showed you what your life could have looked like if you just chose to be embarrassed a few times? Are you really going to let random people determine that for you? Are you really going to let people who you will never see in your lifetime again determine that? And the right answer is absolutely not. And if you're thinking about this correctly, you would understand that very quickly. After one or two times sharing an embarrassing story, it would no longer be embarrassing because you would realize it's the mindset. It's the mindset that you're in. And to be embarrassed, you have to have that embarrassed mindset. But if you're not embarrassed, you can't have it because it's so much more worth it in the end to achieve our best self, whether we get a little embarrassed here or there. There were moments where, and there still are, where I was hesitant to share things because I was scared people were going to think I was weird if I spoke out about my anxiety and my OCD because it wasn't quote unquote normal. Yeah, maybe having OCD is not the normal, but I do know that I'm not the only one that deals with it. And I know the more I talk about it, the more someone out there is going to feel a little more understood and a little less embarrassed. Even if people don't understand, I know that some people will. And that helps the topic because more people normalize it and then people get less embarrassed talking about it. And then that takes away the embarrassment. And we see this so much in society, and it takes just one person to start talking for people to like the video so quick because they could agree so much but just didn't want to say it first. It's all really surrounded by the idea of someone didn't want to say it first. And that's why these TikTokers out there and these celebrities get famous because they're being vulnerable and talking about things that no one else talks about. Alex Earl today just released a podcast about her boob job. Eli Rallo talked about vibrators and situationships and all of the above for girls who needed a place to go to when they didn't know who to ask. They normalize these kinds of conversations, and that's what makes them do so well because they're talking about something that no one is willing to talk about, that people are too embarrassed to talk about. But very quickly, you can see that they begin to talk about it so much more and so much more frequently that there's no embarrassment left to it, that there was no embarrassment to even begin with it because they felt so comfortable with themselves and what they were talking about. And I cannot wait for the day my friends and I are so comfortable with embarrassment that we sit down in a restaurant and talk about absolutely anything and everything on our mind, no matter the topic, because that's what we should be doing. The girls need to talk at all times, and sometimes the girls need to let it loose. Sometimes the girls need to spill. Normalize spilling these conversations at a fancy 5-star restaurant. Normalize it. Don't let other people take the good things away from you. And then going from there, the beautiful thing about the feeling of embarrassment and the people who may be talking about you is that what's yours is never going to pass you. The right people who support you for everything you are and the kind of person you are never going to pass you. And the people who aren't meant for you, who are making fun of you behind your back or whatever, yada, yada, are going to pass you. And don't you consider that a good thing at the end of the day, that you don't waste your time with people that aren't right for you? Because I would love that. I mean, at first we see it and we're like, this is so sad. But then we look back and we're like, that was so meant to be because I didn't hear those conversations that were being said behind my back or something like that, you know? And these situations help us find those people because the right people don't pass us. And the right people won't make us feel bad or embarrassed over something that we like or a silly conversation. And what also won't pass you are the opportunities that are meant for you. One thing I've been told is to watch what I post. Now, I bet a lot of you know exactly what I mean. There's a bunch of different generations living, and we have all been taught different things. Some of the things that I've been told is don't post pictures in a bikini because it may make you look revealing. Or don't post TikToks talking about things that are not generally talked about because people may not want to hire you or something. Like, you know, some people are told to completely not talk about their anxiety or mental health issues on the internet, even if it's to help people, because those few people out there may see it as weak, or not post a bikini picture because someone may think that's inappropriate and too revealing. What I have to say to that is be confident in what you post, in the stories you tell, in your vulnerability, because nothing that is meant for you is ever going to pass you. No employer is ever going to tell you no. No friend is going to make fun of you, and the right people will stay with you or come into your life. Now, I'm not saying go crazy with what you post on the internet, because remember, it's out there. But if you feel comfortable and confident talking about something, you shouldn't let something like that hold you back, because the right people don't leave you and the right people will hire you. So I kind of want to keep this on the shorter side today. So here's my final thoughts. You're going to strut on that treadmill. If you want to strut on that treadmill and make a TikTok, you're going to do it. You're going to film and take pictures when you want. This is something I struggle with, and in 2024, I want to do it. I want people to hold up a phone no matter where I am, whether I'm in a workout class or in the middle of a mall, and take the video. Because again, who are these people's opinions around me? It means nothing to me, and it's not going to matter to me in 5 minutes, let alone 5 years. Post the weird TikToks. If you feel confident and you feel like it's going to give someone a laugh or help someone or make someone smile, have fun with it and post it. And if people do talk about it, simply just say thank you, because you're helping me get more views and you're helping me get closer to getting paid on stuff like TikTok because the views are going up, up, up. So honestly, thank them. Oh my gosh, I had a video the other day and the TikTok maybe got like 500 views and it was like 30 cents. I was like, whew, this ratio is off. But thank you to everyone that saw it, because hey, now more people know I exist and maybe they'll come look at my podcast. Stuff like that. People, you can only let people make fun of you if you let them. So to end, at the end of the day, do what makes you happy, do what makes you laugh, do what makes you have a good time, and do what you want to do to obtain that dream life. Continue in that direction of your dream life, and don't let anyone's opinion stop you, because what are those opinions to you? Because all those negative opinions that you do get are just projections of those people talking about you that are too afraid to do it for themselves. After all, embarrassment is a state of mind. No one else can let you feel embarrassed except you. So I want you to be brave. I want us to be brave. And I want us to do the things we actually want to do because we like to do them. And I promise you, everything will fall into place because we do that. Everything. It's just, it gives you peace to know that everything's just going to fall into place the way it should be. So don't worry about it and just be the person you are and have fun with it. Because embarrassment is a state of mind, and you, my friend, are the only one that controls that. And with that, season 2 has come to a close for On the Bright Side. Season 3 is already well on its way, so I will be back soon. In the meantime, stay up to date with On the Bright Side's latest updates and newest guests by following On the Bright Side Pod with 2 Ds on Instagram. And if you like this episode and it resonated with you, leave some comments, leave some stars. It helps me so much in planning more episodes going forward. And yeah, with that, I love you all so, so much. And remember to stay looking on the bright side, and I promise you it'll serve you really well. That's it for season 2. Season 3, here we come. Love you guys. Stay tuned. Bye-bye.